Stop scrolling for just a moment, because I need to ask you something that could permanently shift the way you look at life. Do you honestly believe that being a good person keeps you safe? Do you think kindness guarantees protection? That generosity naturally wins loyalty? That truthfulness automatically earns respect? If your answer is yes to any of these, prepare yourself, because you've been sold one of the most destructive lies society has ever crafted. The harsh reality is this: goodness does not equal safety. In fact, goodness often puts you directly in harm's way. Goodness, despite what we're told, is like a flame. It glows beautifully, but if left unguarded, it consumes everything you worked for: your connections, your career, your ambitions, even your peace of mind. Niccolò Machiavelli realized this centuries ago. He studied rulers who were admired for their compassion, yet quickly overthrown. He watched benevolent leaders betrayed by their closest allies. He saw generous figures stripped of everything by the very people they uplifted. And he didn't keep it to himself. He wrote it all down so future generations wouldn't fall into the same trap. What he revealed was not just about politics, but about human nature itself. Today, I want to share that hidden truth with you. The price of blind goodness is higher than most people can even imagine. What I'm going to reveal may sting, but it will also liberate you. Because once you understand why kindness alone doesn't protect you, you can learn to wield it as a source of strength rather than weakness. I am not suggesting that you turn cruel. I am not saying you should abandon generosity or honesty. What I am saying is this: your goodness must be intentional, not naive. Used wisely, it becomes armor and weapon. Used foolishly, it becomes the very chain that drags you down. Think of the world as a battlefield full of predators. Wolves surround you at every corner. If you insist on behaving like a sheep, no matter how pure or gentle, you will be devoured. This is the cold truth that most people don't want to admit. So, I want you to take this in and affirm to yourself right now: I choose purposeful goodness. That single mindset shift separates those who get exploited from those who rise with power. Let's begin with the first reality people don't want to admit. Kindness exposes you. Picture the most compassionate person you know. Now, ask yourself honestly, are they genuinely respected, or are they simply the person everyone leans on when they need a favor? That's the trap. When you're endlessly helpful, people stop seeing your effort as generosity and start seeing it as obligation. They stop admiring you and start using you. You become predictable, which is another word for exploitable. When everyone knows you won't push back, they'll push harder. When everyone knows you'll always say yes, they'll keep taking without hesitation. You become the office errand runner, the friend who's expected to foot the bill, the family member who carries everyone else's burdens, even when you're drowning. I once knew a man who was the most reliable team leader I had ever met. He constantly defended his staff, stayed late to cover for them, sacrificed his own recognition for theirs. But when promotion time came, guess who got overlooked? Him. Why? Because selfless people are often seen not as leaders, but as servants. And servants are not respected. They're depended upon until they collapse. Here's the brutal irony. The more available you are, the less your presence is valued. The less you assert boundaries, the more people invade them. The less you show your ability to bite, the more everyone assumes you have no teeth. Your goodness signals weakness in a world trained to exploit weakness. Machiavelli understood this perfectly when he wrote, "The lion cannot protect itself from traps, and the fox cannot defend itself from wolves." One must be both. Yet too many of us try to survive as sheep among wolves, and we wonder why life keeps tearing us apart. Now let's talk about something even more insidious: the generosity trap. At first glance, Giving seems like the fastest route to love and loyalty. You give once, and you're praised. You give again, and people shower you with gratitude. But here's where it turns dangerous. The more you give, the less it matters. What once felt like a blessing soon becomes an expectation. Your kindness is no longer celebrated, it's assumed. The applause fades, and in its place grows entitlement. And entitlement quickly transforms into resentment the moment you stop supplying. This isn't speculation, it's human psychology. We adapt quickly to blessings. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, the process of normalizing good things until they no longer feel special. That means every time you go out of your way, people absorb it as the new baseline. They don't remember the countless times you sacrificed. They remember the one time you refused. Say yes 10 times, say no once, and suddenly you're branded selfish. I've seen this happen in families where parents spoil children with endless gifts. At first, the kids glow with appreciation. Soon enough, though, gifts are just what mom and dad do. And the day the parents say no, the kids lash out as if betrayed. The same cycle appears in friendships, in workplaces, even in marriages. The giver's value disappears into the background noise, while their refusal screams louder than all their sacrifices combined. That's why Machiavelli warned, benefits should be conferred slowly, so that they may be better appreciated. He understood what many people never realize. Abundance erodes value, while scarcity enhances it. Strategic generosity is not about giving less. It's about giving in ways that maintain power and dignity, not dependency and resentment. Let's move to another uncomfortable truth. Society doesn't reward authentic virtue, it rewards appearances. Most people don't care whether you're genuinely good. They care about whether you look good. Perception is the currency of power, and image outweighs reality. The world isn't shaped by who you truly are inside, but by how others interpret your actions. That means you must learn to wear the mask of virtue while retaining control beneath the surface. Think of the most powerful individuals you know. Do you really believe they climbed to the top by being endlessly nice? Not at all. They learned when to show kindness and when to conceal it. They understood the power of looking merciful while making ruthless decisions behind the curtain. They smiled in public while exercising iron discipline in private. The mask of virtue isn't hypocrisy, it's strategy. It's not about faking goodness, it's about timing goodness. True leadership often requires making choices that look cruel but serve a higher purpose. A surgeon who cuts you open doesn't hate you, he saves you. A leader who denies comfort in the moment may be protecting the future. Weak people believe showing kindness at all times makes them moral. Strong people understand that sometimes the highest act of goodness looks, in the moment, like toughness. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you truly are." Those words remind us, image shapes destiny. If people see weakness, you will be treated as weak. If they see strength, even if it's an illusion, you will command respect. Now consider the economics of power. Every choice you make, every yes you give, every sacrifice you offer, it all has a cost. But most people never count that cost. They drain themselves dry in service of others, then wonder why they feel bitter, exhausted, and invisible. The truth is simple. Your time, energy, and emotional resources are finite. Every ounce you spend on someone else leaves you with less for yourself. And if you keep pouring endlessly into others, eventually you become empty. At that point, you're no longer the helper, you're the one who needs rescuing. There's a reason airlines tell you to secure your own oxygen mask before helping others. Because if you collapse while trying to save someone else, you've doomed both of you. Life works exactly the same way. Unlimited kindness eventually bankrupts you, and once you're bankrupt, nobody can rely on you. Sustainable generosity means protecting your core resources first, then sharing wisely. I had to learn this lesson painfully. I said yes to every request, every quick favor, every task people offloaded on me. I believed I was being noble, but deep down, I was seething. My own goals stalled, my creativity dried up, and I grew resentful toward the very people I thought I was helping. That's when I realized saying yes to everyone else is often just another way of saying no to yourself. And when you betray yourself, you eventually betray everyone else too. True leaders, true givers, are not those who scatter their energy recklessly, but those who focus it strategically where it has the greatest impact. And that leads us to the most important revelation: the strategic use of virtue, mercy, honesty, generosity. These aren't weaknesses, they're powerful tools. But like a blade, they only matter when wielded at the right moment. A sword collecting dust on a wall helps no one, but in the hands of a warrior at the perfect time, it can change history. Your goodness should work the same way. Instead of scattering kindness everywhere without thought, direct it toward the right people, the right causes, at the right times. Instead of being endlessly available, be deliberately selective. Instead of saying yes by default, say yes with precision, where it amplifies your purpose. This creates three outcomes. Your kindness becomes more valued because it's rare. Your actions create deeper impact because they're focused, and people respect you more because they see that your yes actually means something. Look at history's most respected figures. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't extend gentleness to injustice. He confronted it boldly. Mother Teresa didn't try to serve the entire globe. She concentrated her efforts on the poorest of the poor. Their greatness wasn't in being endlessly nice. It was in being strategically good. That is the path to real influence. So here's the truth. Society never told you. Being good without strategy doesn't keep you safe. It leaves you vulnerable. But being good with intention transforms you into a force nobody can ignore. From this moment forward, stop being the sheep surrounded by wolves. Be the lion who intimidates them. Be the fox who outsmarts them. And most of all, be the strategist who knows when goodness is a gift and when it's a weapon. Affirm it now. I choose purposeful goodness. I protect my energy. I guard my resources. I control my image. I give with intention, because from today, your kindness will no longer be your downfall. It will be your strength. True leaders throughout history didn't use kindness as a way to be universally liked. They didn't hand out compassion just to collect praise. They used it deliberately, like a sculptor uses a chisel applied with precision, designed to shape real change. That's the difference between blind goodness and purposeful virtue. And here's the real question. How do you apply that in your daily life? The answer begins with discipline. Before you automatically agree to anyone's request, pause and interrogate it with three essential questions. First, does this request align with the values I live by and the goals I'm pursuing? Second, can I actually do this without depleting myself or neglecting my own responsibilities? And third, will this person genuinely respect my effort, or will they take it for granted? If the answer to any of these is no, then your answer must also be no. Not cruelly, not with hostility, but with clarity and firmness. Because saying no with integrity is not selfish, it's self-respect. And when you do choose to say yes, your yes should carry weight. It should come with commitment, with excellence, with real effort that leaves a lasting mark. That's how your contribution becomes memorable, not forgettable. That's how generosity builds loyalty instead of resentment. Even Machiavelli recognized this paradox. He wrote that sometimes the promises we make in one moment can't always be honored in another, because life forces us to shift loyalties and priorities. Being fair to your family might mean being strict with your colleagues. Protecting your dreams may require disappointing people who want your time. Real virtue doesn't mean pleasing everyone. It means acting effectively, even when that effectiveness looks like resistance. Strategic goodness isn't about selfishness. It's about impact. That's why I want you to hold on to this affirmation: I practice effective kindness. And now we come to another brutal truth about human nature. Gratitude has an expiration date. It doesn't last forever the way we imagine it does. Gratitude is fleeting. The thank you you receive today often disappears tomorrow. The favor that makes someone's eyes light up in appreciation quickly dulls the next time you do it. Help a neighbor once, and they're grateful. Help them twice, and they're still thankful, though maybe a little less. Help them 3 or 4 times, and suddenly your help is no longer a gift. It's expected. And the day you can't help, you're cast as unreliable, even selfish. This is how human psychology works. People normalize kindness. What begins as generosity slowly morphs into obligation in their eyes. Exceptional treatment becomes ordinary, and ordinary treatment eventually feels insufficient. The truth is, people don't remember the sacrifices you've made. They remember whether or not their needs were met in the moment. And the person who always says yes eventually becomes invisible because their giving is no longer perceived as extraordinary. You've seen this happen in workplaces, families, friendships. The one who consistently bails others out becomes the default problem solver. And when that person finally sets boundaries, they are treated as though they've betrayed the group. The paradox is clear. The more reliable you are, the more you are taken for granted. The more accessible you are, the less people value your time. The more you give without protecting yourself, the more people assume it costs you nothing. This is the illusion of gratitude. We think that by doing more good, we'll deepen people's appreciation of us. The opposite happens. The more you give, the faster their gratitude fades. And strangely, it is often those you help the least who appreciate you the most, while those you sacrifice for the most are often the ones who undervalue you. This isn't because people are inherently bad, it's simply the way human beings adapt. Understanding this doesn't mean you should stop helping others. It means you must help with strategy. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give others is the chance to solve their own problems. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to let them feel your absence so they remember your presence. Machiavelli said that people judge what they see in the moment, not what was done in the past. Your past kindness becomes invisible, while your present actions are magnified. So here's the affirmation for this truth: I create impact that lasts. Now let's tackle another myth. The world doesn't judge you by your intentions, it judges you by your results. You can have the purest heart, the noblest motives, but if your actions don't produce meaningful outcomes, your intentions don't matter. History doesn't glorify those who meant well, it honors those who accomplished something. Think about it. Would you rather be remembered as a sweet person who kept everyone comfortable but never created change, or as someone who sometimes seemed firm, even harsh, but left behind something that made life better for generations? Most people cling to the first option because it feels safer, but safety rarely leaves a legacy. Nice people vanish from memory. Effective people live on. Sometimes true goodness doesn't look pleasant in the moment. Sometimes it requires you to choose discomfort over comfort, confrontation over avoidance, discipline over indulgence. A loving parent who disciplines their child isn't cruel. They're preparing that child to thrive in the real world. A demanding teacher who holds students accountable isn't unkind. They're ensuring their students will grow into capable adults. A leader who sets high expectations may frustrate people in the short term, but in the long run, they elevate everyone's standards. The difference is simple. Nice people aim to be liked, while good people aim to be effective. Nice people avoid conflict. Good people resolve it. Nice people preserve temporary peace. Good people create lasting progress. Nice people are forgotten. Good people are remembered. Machiavelli put it bluntly when he said, "The end justifies the means." He didn't mean that cruelty should rule. He meant that outcomes matter more than intentions. No one can see your heart, but everyone lives with the impact of your choices. That's why the real affirmation here is, I focus on results, not appearances. And this leads us to the ultimate measure of goodness: legacy. What you leave behind when you're gone. The world doesn't preserve the memory of people who were merely agreeable. It remembers those who endured, who overcame, who created lasting change. Ask yourself, how many nice people from history can you name? Not many. But you can name dozens who left a mark. Visionaries, reformers, inventors, leaders, many of whom weren't seen as easy to deal with. Steve Jobs wasn't admired for being gentle or agreeable. He was relentless, demanding, often abrasive. But he reshaped the way billions of people communicate and live. He wasn't remembered for being likable. He was remembered for making impact. That's the truth about legacy. It doesn't come from being endlessly nice. It comes from being strong enough to outlast the wolves and strategic enough to turn survival into contribution. And that's the key. Before you can leave a legacy, you have to survive. The most generous soul can't help anyone if they collapse under the weight of exploitation. The most honest person can't spread truth if they've been silenced by those who thrive on lies. The kindest spirit can't give anything if they've given everything away too soon. To build a legacy, you must first endure. Survival comes before contribution. That means strengthening yourself, protecting your boundaries, and conserving your energy, not so you can hoard it, but so you can use it wisely to uplift others. The most influential people in history weren't fragile. They weren't people pleasers. They knew how to say no, when to stand firm, and how to protect themselves so they could protect others. They understood that real goodness isn't weakness, it's strength under control. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." What he meant is that respect matters more than affection, impact matters more than likability, power matters more than popularity. Here's the secret. You don't actually have to choose between being good and being strong. The most effective people are both. But if life forces you to choose strength first, because strength is what allows you to sustain goodness. Without strength, your goodness becomes fragility, and fragility doesn't help anyone. So let me bring it all together. We've uncovered the hidden dangers of blind goodness. We've exposed why generosity can backfire, why gratitude fades, why intentions without results mean nothing, and why legacy requires survival before contribution. But more importantly, we've learned the alternative. Goodness doesn't need to be abandoned. It needs to be mastered. Strategic kindness is the foundation of true influence. Purposeful generosity creates loyalty. Effective honesty creates respect. Strengthened virtue builds legacy. Now you stand at a crossroads. You can continue practicing goodness the way you always have, unquestioned, unguarded, unstrategic, and watch it drain you until nothing is left. Or you can choose a new path, where goodness is sharpened, protected, and applied with wisdom. This is the path of strength. This is the path of legacy. So I leave you with the question that matters most. Will you let goodness be the chain that weakens you, or the weapon that empowers you? The choice is yours. But now, you have the knowledge to decide with clarity. Here's your final affirmation. I master strategic goodness. Because in a world full of predators, you're not meant to be prey. You're not meant to be the sheep waiting for slaughter. You are meant to be the shepherd, the one who protects, guides, and leads with both wisdom and force. And when you embrace that role, your goodness will no longer be your weakness. It will become your most unshakable strength.